Hello and welcome to another one of my humble vlogs. This week we're talking about Lincoln, but first we're talking about Twelfth Night because that's what I'm reading in my Shakespeare class this week. I've actually already read Twelfth Night, but actually it's one of my favorites, so I don't mind reading it again. And you always get more stuff out of reading the second time, don't you? So yeah, looking forward to delving back into this good old story. Anyways, on to the traveling. Now I took the train into Lincoln. First time on the train, stressful. Very stressful. Whew. Walk into the train station an hour early just to make sure I know how to do everything, which I did. Definitely don't go to a train station an hour early, especially in the morning. So when I finally decided it was okay to walk onto the platform because it was so early, I stood there for about half an hour. I was like, this is the platform I've checked it a million times, this is exactly where I need to be, now I just need to wait 10 minutes for my train to get here, and then people start disappearing from the platform and I'm like, what is up? And then a nice lady comes and informs me that the train that I'm only a few minutes from waiting to get on is now at a completely different station. So moral of the story, no matter how prepared you are, stuff always goes wrong and you have to be willing to adapt. So that's what I did. I got on my speedy shoes and my figurative speedy shoes, and I walked onto the other platform and I caught my train and I was like, but I was fine. And I got there and I ended up in Lincoln, so happy story. So I ended up in Lincoln. I got out of the train station. I walked through the town part, walked past St. Mary's, couldn't go in it because apparently it's been a bit abandoned, but it was still cute from the outside. And then across the street from it was a Greg's. Love the juxtaposition there. But I got a coffee and the lady called me Poppet, which I had never been called before and felt honored. And then I walked on my way to Steep Hill. On my way to Steep Hill, I walked under the Pottergate Arch and past the Jew's house, and then it was all the way up from there. And I saw this poor lady try to bike up Steep Hill, which is literally like this, and she eventually just gave up and started walking her bike up. There's designated spots for sitting that are like very old designated spots for sitting, like when the city was founded. Designated spots for sitting because the hill's so steep, but it's such like a major part of the city that people just used it anyway, I guess. They're like, oh, we have to put all of our important stuff on this steep hill. Not sure who decided that, but that's what happened. And it's kind of cute because all the way up the hill are these little shops and cute little artsy places to pop into, and all the little restaurants are like, thirsty? Pop in. Take a break from Steep Hill. That kind of thing. So I finally made it to the top. And there's castle over here, cathedral over here. So I was like, wow, this is a great place to be. So first I went to Lincoln Castle and I saw the Lincolnshire Magna Carta, and that was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I've already seen another copy of the Magna Carta, but this one was specifically for Lincoln, and it was really cool. You could see the Magna Carta in all its glory, and then you watch a little movie about it. It was pretty great. Then there was a jail, and I was like, oh, another jail. I just saw a jail last week. I'm following jails all around England. I'm not doing that. Historic jails. But yeah, again, I saw the men's jail, the women's jail, but this one was kind of more interactive, and you got to try to pick apart those little strings until your fingers bled. That was fun. Always a good time at the Lincolnshire Castle Jail. You also got to learn about some of the medical treatment that was provided to the people in jail, which was often better than they received just in their daily lives. And they also learned how to read and write. So for a lot of people who were kind of low on the status scale, you kind of got treated, I don't want to say better, but there were benefits to being in a place where you were made to read and write and get a meal and get healthcare. But also it was extremely violent because people were just allowed to walk around wherever they wanted, so there was a ton of fights, especially on the outdoor recreation ground, which you got to walk around as well. So there were ups and downs, I guess. Mostly down because you're imprisoned, but you know. And after that, I walked around the castle grounds. Actually, there's a courtroom in one of the main castle buildings that you can't go into because it's still a functioning courtroom today. So you just can't go in because the court might be in session. So I thought that was interesting, like, oh, where you have court? I've got jury duty at Lincoln Castle. Man, now the last thing I could do at Lincoln Castle was the castle walk. The castle wall is still fully intact, so you just go up one of the corners and then just make your way around, and you get a really great view of all of Lincoln, including the cathedral, which is right across the way, like a 5-minute walk, which is pretty cool. And then at each corner there's a little building that you can explore. So the first one kind of just went way down into the ground. There's like a ladder that you had to climb all the way down, and I'm not sure what it was really used for, but it was just a fun climb down, if anything else. There was a little cemetery that you walked along the castle wall as well, like just for the castle, little castle cemetery space, and chapel. It's like the personal chapel of the church that you could walk through. And then the final one was an observatory because one of the people who lived in the castle was very fond of stargazing, so it's the tallest one, and you walk all the way to the top and you get the best view of the whole city, so that was really nice. And then after the castle wall walk, it was time to go to Lincoln Cathedral. Now, Lincoln Cathedral was arguably one of the coolest places I've been to in England on this whole trip. It's absolutely huge. Really ginormous cathedral. I spent probably 3 hours there just trying to see everything, but also part of that was taken over by a 45-minute tour that went way over, but in the best of ways. Given by a very comprehensive and knowledgeable member of the church family. She took us up and inside the cathedral on a roof tour. So we first did some highlights of the cathedral and saw some of the design flaws that you wouldn't normally see if someone hadn't told you. And then we went above the pretty roof into some wooden rafters and saw that the second story that no one sees is not as majestic as the big picture that everyone gets downstairs. And I guess there's good reason for that, who goes upstairs in a cathedral, but we did, and it was awesome. Kind of scary, as you have this long, rickety wooden hallway above a massive cathedral. So I guess if you're a bit claustrophobic or fear of heights, it would definitely get to you, but you did have to walk across that platform and then exit one of the side, and you're on this little platform seeing the whole entirety of Lincoln just out on the roof, just chilling. And thankfully it was another sunny day, so we got a great view, and that was awesome. We did also see the bell ringers little room. They showed us the bell ringing music, and it's extremely weird to read because each bell has a number and you just have the one note, so you just play when your number appears. And apparently they have bell ringing competitions as well. And it is quite hard to ring a bell, I'm told. We did see some more secret rooms in the cathedral where people would have actually lived. And also, there were apparently times when the cathedral needed to be guarded, so you would see some strategy of how to defend the cathedral in the event that it was being attacked. And there are way more bedrooms rooms in the cathedral than you would ever imagine. It's kind of like its own functioning household, really, and you would never even know because when you walk in it just seems like this big room. But really, there's so much more going on upstairs. It's quite wild, actually. So many secret passageways we went into as well. It really felt like you were in some sort of medieval movie, or like Merlin or something. But anyway, we did get to see the parallel of things you could see from the bottom floor above. So there's this one chandelier that you can see from below, and we saw the crank that holds up the chandelier. So apparently there's a little guy who sits with the crank, lowers the chandelier to the ground, then they change the light bulbs and he has to wheel it all the way back up. And apparently it's a chair because that is quite tiring. The ceiling is very high. And then another really cool part of the cathedral was walking basically around the inside of the cathedral from the second story. All the stuff you were looking up at before, you are now just walking amongst that. And there are just so many secret little walkways and corridors and ways to get from one place to another. You would never even consider if you hadn't been on this walking tour. Like, you just enter the cathedral and think, oh, it's just designed really well. You wouldn't notice all the little sideways and corridors you can walk down. And we did walk down places that I didn't know you could walk down. Very narrow passageways that only one person can fit through. Worming our way around the interior of the cathedral. It is quite hard to describe all the weird inner workings of the Lincoln Cathedral that I saw, but definitely if you are ever planning on going to England, or if you live in England, it's worth a trip to Lincoln just to do that. It was absolutely awesome. There's a little evil spirit, apparently. Not evil, but mischievous spirit in Lincoln Cathedral as well. I think they call him a pygmy, and you also have to try to like spot him, but the cathedral's so big it was impossible. So I got one of the ladies to help me find it, so that was just a fun little Easter egg as well. I then had to leave the cathedral because I was there for 3 hours. So I decided to walk a little bit down Steep Hill and go to the collection gardens. Now, it was too late to go into any of the art museums there, but they had a lovely array of statues and plants, so it was just fun to walk through that. And then I stopped for lunch at the Book Stop Cafe, which was a little family-owned underground cafe full of bookshelves and books. So I had a little sandwich, an elderflower soda, and I read a book of Lincolnshire poems. So that was a really nice experience and a nice way to escape the sun on what was actually a pretty warm day. After that, I took a look at the medieval Bishop's Palace, which is right across from Lincoln Cathedral. I just looked around the exterior of that. Again, it was getting too late to really go in anything, but I had seen the best parts of Lincoln, I think. So I was content just looking at the outside. And then after that, I went and looked around some shops on Steep Hill. I looked at the Harding House Gallery, which was like a local photography gallery with a shop downstairs, so that was quite cute. And there were also some like gardening, chocolate, specialty stores just to peek in at, and yeah, that was lining the Steep Hill. Now, my time in Lincoln was winding down, so I did fully descend Steep Hill and went back into town by Waterside, which is where all of the main shops are, and the great empowerment statue is, and the canal boats are. So I kind of did a little loop around the empowerment statue, and the waterway was lit up so nicely at night. It was a great walk. And then I kind of went out by the main part of the Waterside area and had a little stroll along the river. This is River Widom, apparently, and they just had some little restaurants lined up on the side. I didn't eat anything because I had got my fill at the Book Stop Cafe, but I did sit down on the bench and just admire the view and the sunset going down over Lincoln. and over the water, and it was just really, really beautiful, nice way to end my day in Lincoln. So yeah, after that I just went and took the train home and read a little bit on the train ride back, and it was a very pleasant journey and definitely one of my top 5 places in England I've been to so far. Now on Thursday was very exciting. It was my first spoken word poetry event. So I've never done spoken word poetry, but I decided carpe diem, you know, today is the day, let's try it out. So I've been going to the Poetry Society for a while, been workshopping my poems, and I feel like a stronger poet than ever, so I guess it was time to put it to the test. And I went with Jacob to Growlers in Headingley, which is kind of like a weird beer shop. We ended up getting raspberry beer. It didn't taste like cider, it actually tasted like beer, but raspberry beer. It was really weird, but also good. But anyways, I felt a little bit more confident after that, and when I was called up, I was just ready to deliver the party poem. I'd written it about a year ago, so I felt pretty confident about it. I was workshopping it some more as well, making it as strong as possible for the night, and it went really well, and it was a nice evening with friends and talented poets alike. And I also got to hear some really cool poetry from one of my professors at Leeds Beckett. Not one of my professors, but one of the professors at Leeds Beckett in the humanities department. So it was a really, really good night, and apparently we get another one next month, so looking forward to that. And then I guess the last thing I have to tell you about this week is that I got some Prosecco and peach jam at Morrison's for my crumpets, and the best idea for jam, my 2 favorite things, smashed into one lovely jam. So I'll be enjoying that next week, and next week I will also be going to Sheffield, so I'll let you know how that adventure goes, and I'll let you know how the jam was. Spoiler alert, it was good. Okay, that's all for this week. I will see you next week. Bye!